Hi, it's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media. I'm here in the Asyad group stand and I have Yazan with me. So great to be over here.
Great to be with you, Leslie. Hi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. So how's the event for you so far?
Well, so far it's been so good, and honestly speaking, this is our second time with Breakbulk in the second consecutive year. We are happy to be here. This year, I think the version is much more organized. It's bigger, and it has. We've witnessed a lot of footfall at our booth, more than last year, honestly.
Excellent. Well, it's an absolutely stunning
I
booth.
do agree with you.
Stunning.
Yeah. Thank you
It's
for the support.
gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so great. All right, well, let me ask you a few questions. Um, Oman has worked very hard to make the country a primary logistics hub, and certainly you have competition from larger countries
Yeah.
like the UAE here
Yeah.
and Saudi. What is your strategy for competing with much larger players?
Thank you, Leslie, for the question. It's very important to understand something. The dynamics in GCC and in the logistics sector is more geared toward collaboration. It's more geared toward complementing each other. Although we do have a certain degree of competition, and that's by default is due to the nature of the setting of the whole region, where each, let's say, party have their own value proposition geared toward their own type of location, their target markets, their target client base, their specific products and services. And for Oman, um, we always gear ourselves from the perspective of the unique, that's a fact, the unique geographical location that Oman and the Omani ports are enjoying, where we are open to the Indian Ocean. We are open to the ocean directly, and that's a God-given natural privilege, where from a corridor perspective, it gives the Omani ports, Suhar, Salalah, and Duqm, accessibility to the major trade routes in the continent, specifically trade routes from connecting Asia to Africa, east to west, and we are at the center heart of it. Another thing that we always look for is that we are reflecting ourselves as an integrated logistics service provider, as a Asyad group through the Oman logistics ecosystem. And by that we mean we are a one-stop shop for all of the client's needs, meaning that from origin to destination we can deliver efficient, reliable service provision, which results in orientation into a reduced cost and freight or cargo time. Since we touched upon cost, another thing is that our ports and terminals, for example, are in a much better competitive cost aspect in terms of providing terminal services, handling services, port charges, and so on. We can provide the partners basically a significant or a better value proposition depending on the requirement.
Excellent. And would you say that you've gone to lengths to make any kind of documentation and all of those things that seem to bog down shippers? Has that been streamlined and made it easier for people to use the facilities?
If you can explain more what you mean by documentation.
Oh, customs.
Yeah, I would say that we are close. We work closely with the Oman Customs, and the good thing that the GCC Customs is unified. Yeah, the
Okay.
GCC Customs law is unified among all the countries, which mean easier accessibility and movement of cargo to and from GCC countries. And for us as let's say, Asyad group, we work closely with customs. We tailor-made specific products where they require specific customs procedures. We have developed one-stop shops for inspections with customs at our ports. Customs have been very supportive in Oman, where they also developed specific systems to enable online custom clearance, increased or faster clearance of containers, of cargo flows based on a selected criteria for risk management, which means reduced inspection at the port and hence lower dwell time of cargo at the border crossing.
Yeah, that's very important. Let's talk about the shipping market and the volatility that we've seen over the past few years. Been a lot of turbulence, chaos, certainly increased risk for cargoes transiting the area. How do you think that will look in the next year as we go through the next year? Do you think there'll be any changes to the situation?
Yeah, I think the supply chain in general have definitely went through several turbulences in the past 3 years, starting with COVID and all of the political tensions or the Panama Canal water draft. These have impacted the supply chain, but since then I think we've been recovering in a good pace as an industry. If you look at it from different perspective, as long as the geopolitical dynamics they don't get agitated, and we will see or we will witness reduction. We are witnessing reduction in the cost of freight, basically. The volatility is still there. However, it is slowly being reduced. The other thing, after COVID, the supply and demand, basically of capacity availability, vessel capacity availability has been shifted. We are witnessing more supply of capacity due to the newer vessels being delivered to the shipping lines. Hence, that will help actually in reducing the cost of freight. However, that may change again if any tensions may spike up prices temporarily. Another thing we need to cater for is the newer regulation that are upcoming to cater for all of the green hydrogen sector and the sustainability angle. We might witness the shift toward a more ammonia vessels. However, the issue there that the infrastructure to support the ammonia vessels may not be present, but that is coming. The regulation also that's being let's say enforced on the industry is gearing the shipping industry toward more sustainable, green-friendly fuel usage.
Yeah, what I've been hearing here during this conference are the carriers are waiting. They're taking a wait and see, that we're just not close enough to making a decision on fuel for new builds at this point in time, and they don't want to make the wrong decision.
Exactly,
right?
Because it all depends on the infrastructure that will accommodate those types of vessels.
Right. So speaking of the infrastructure, are your ports looking at that? Have you made any decisions as to what types of fuels or a greener fuel that you would have in the ports?
Leslie, I'm not really sure. I mean, in terms of the direction, for example, Asyad shipping, we are gearing ourselves on the whole regulation aspect eventually. However, if a decision is made, I'm not sure. If we talk about ports infrastructure in terms of sustainability, of course, we are in line with the government direction to reach zero carbon footprint as per the Oman strategy for all of the ports. Each port, they have their own, let's say, strategic plan to implement and reach out to the net zero carbon footprint in our ports.
Excellent. All right, so we've talked about risk factors, uncertainty, volatility. As a company, what strategies do you implement to allow Asyad to remain agile and respond to opportunities in the market?
Yeah, I think that's a very important aspect because the whole ecosystem that, or the business sense, the commercial model that we've geared ourselves into since 2016 has been supporting Asyad as a group to be agile and responsive to rapid changes in the logistics ecosystem, which is the integrated logistics solution. Today, through that, basically, we can have more feasibility to the supply chain. It's not just for us, it's for the end users. Our liner service, for example, network has been expanding rapidly, and it's also agile, where we change and shift the vessel calling from one port to the other, the network basically, depending on the market dynamics. Today, Asyad Lines has been connected or connecting Oman and the region to the Far East, China, to 3 ports, to the Indian subcontinent, India, Mondra and Fajiva basically, and also to Asia, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, where we also supported the logistics ecosystem from India through Salalah all the way through the Red Sea, to Jeddah, to Ain Sakhna, where we provide more, let's say, reachable options in turbulence areas. Keeping up with or being agile with the changes that are happening in the industry for Asyad is sometimes an opportunity from a product development perspective, and hence Asyad Logistics has been operating since the past 2 years in core logistics service provision, where it acts as the glue between all of Oman or Asyad's infrastructure basically. And we are able to cater for, it acts as a single logistics window for the clients, delivering the multiple services they require across the supply chain through one entity.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you for giving us all of this insight.
Thank you for hosting
me. A lot to think about. I feel like I've learned so much.
I hope so. Thank you very much. Thank you.